Hi Aquarius, welcome to your love reading for this week. This is a timeless reading, so whenever you come across it is when it's meant for you. Okay, let's see what's coming through for you, Aquarius. So we have the Ace of Swords, Page of Pentacles, Three of Cups, Three of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, Justice, Ten of Swords, and the Magician. Okay, so just looking at the cards for the first time, I'm kind of feeling like for those of you who are in a relationship, there could be something like challenging that goes on this week. As the heart of your reading, you have the Three of Swords, which does represent sometimes heartache. It represents sometimes separation or misunderstandings, fighting. So, I get that feeling, especially, with the Ten of Swords lined up here. But I feel like some of you are just really examining your relationships. Let's start from the top. We have the Ace of Swords. So this is a new beginning. And I feel like those of you who are in a relationship, I feel like you're really you want something different as far as what's going on between you and your partner. You do have the Page of Pentacles right next to it. And the Page of Pentacles, it also represents kind of studying. If you look at the card, she's holding the pentacle, she's looking at it. And like I said, this card is about studying things, looking at things in detail, and it's about learning and knowledge. I'm seeing it next to the Ace of Swords here, and then the Three of Cups here. This tells me that you're really kind of examining a relationship, you're examining a partnership to perhaps to see, if it is what you think it is, if it is what you want it to be. And since the Ace of Swords is there, I feel like for some of you, it could be that you examine a relationship and you have some type of breakthrough. You may kind of see what was wrong with the relationship, why, someone is unhappy, why someone can't make a decision. I feel like there's some clarity regarding a relationship this week. But I'm getting the message that there will only be clarity if you are looking for it. I feel like if someone refuses to believe there's anything wrong with their relationship, and you just want to stay in your happy place, you may not have that clarity, but you still kind of, in the back of your mind, you might be thinking, is there something that I need to know? And this doesn't necessarily mean that something bad, like my partner's cheating, but it could be about you. It could be that you have, you have different goals now, that you want something different in a relationship. So I feel like for some of you, there is clarity and there could be some type of truth revealed to you as you're kind of examining a relationship to see if it is what you think it is. And I see the Three of Cups, and I feel like for some of you, not everyone, you might really be examining a relationship because it could be moving to the next level. It could be that the person has, proposed marriage, or you think they're going to propose, or you recently got married, or that you could be coming into the week with misunderstandings, and that's why you're really examining. But I do feel like for some of you, you're looking at this relationship very carefully because it's a very important time. Perhaps you're transitioning from a couple to a married couple or something like that. Or even you could be thinking of having children and you want to be sure. Okay, so moving to the next row, you have the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords, and the Knight of Pentacles. So here, I kind of feel like someone's being very stubborn. The Two of Swords is always stubborn energy, I'm not budging, I'm not making a decision, I don't want to see something. You see the woman, she's tied up, her arms are crossed, she's blindfolded. This is kind of I don't want to see like what is right in front of me. I don't want to see, I don't want to know, I don't want to make a decision. And I mean, like, look at what's right next to it here, the Three of Swords, and like everywhere, the Three of Swords, the Justice card, the Ace of Swords. There are like messages everywhere. There's something you don't want to see. Like you're just kind of like, no, I don't want to see that. I feel like this is for couples. I'm going to get to singles in a minute. You don't want to see something that needs to change, something that will come to mind if you really examine a relationship. And it could be something that's you know, making you unhappy, something that is not fair to you because the Justice card is here. So I feel like for some of you, you may be pushed. Yeah, I kind of feel like for some of you may be pushed this week to like make a decision about a relationship that you have been like examining. Maybe even some of you have been contemplating getting involved with someone on a more serious level. But there's something like a little bit off about the person. There may be people also that you meet this week that, you know, that you really like, yet in the back of your mind, there's kind of little doubts, and they're asking you to be cautious, you know. And seeing the Knight of Pentacles here as well in this row, I almost kind of feel like someone is kind of like wondering this week, like, why is this relationship like not moving forward as quickly as it should, as quickly as I want it to? Because the Knight of Pentacles, it does represent progress, but it represents kind of really slow progress. It even represents kind of like new people, new experiences. For some of you, there's so many messages because it's a general reading. Some of you, you may be kind of like finally making that decision from the Two of Swords. You're seeing that something is not fair to you, you're hurting, you have a moment of clarity over there, and you decide to open up an entirely different world for yourself. And that means that there are new people. And I see that here too with the Three of Cups, because that also represents happiness and joy, laughter, and kind of kindred spirits lined up with the Magician. You're making that magic. So I feel like for some of you, like, you know, you have that moment of clarity and you finally decide like, hey, something in this relationship is not fair to me, and I'm going to go out and meet, you know, different people. But I also kind of feel like for others, especially like people who are married, the changes perhaps that you want to see in your relationship, or even kind of other material changes, will come and happen slowly. If you don't like refuse to see like what is right in front of you. Maybe, you know, something about your partner, something about a family that you don't want to see, some type of misunderstanding, something painful that is the heart of your reading. I feel like things will not change quickly unless you make some type of decision or someone is honest. Now, moving on to this row here, you have Justice, the Ten of Swords, and the Magician. Like I said, Justice is all about setting things right. And it means that something is out of balance in a relationship, or that you're being wronged in some way. And you know, there's a strong energy of that in this reading because of the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords, the Ten of Swords. So I feel like for some of you, they really want you examining, like, again, like why you are hurting, why there are misunderstandings, why there's a separation. Something is not fair to you here. You don't have that, some of you may not have that, you know, that happy marriage or that happy relationship. And they're telling you, you need to figure out why, and you need to do what is best for you. But this involves a decision. And then we, moving on, we have the Ten of Swords. And for some of you, I mean, looking at what's going on here, the Ten of Swords does represent an ending. Most, all tens represent an ending, but this particular card, it's almost like an ending that it's like you can't really help. You can't really do anything about it. I mean, seeing it lined up with the Ten of Swords and even with the Page of Pentacles up there, it tells me that for some of you, like, you already know like what you have to do. And again, here, you don't want to see it. Maybe it's too painful to take, some type of action, to make a decision. They're telling you here that you don't need to keep suffering. You don't need to keep suffering. This is a card of suffering. We see the person kind of laying on the ground, stabbed in the back by 10 swords. You can pick yourself up and walk away. Something is not fair to you. Something's out of balance. And they're reminding you with the Magician that, hello, you're creating your own reality. So if you allow certain things to happen, if you allow someone to walk all over you or to not be honest with you or mistreat you in some way, you are saying that that is okay. But I feel like this week, like, someone is taking back their power. Look at the final card and the first card. They are both, kind of like a new beginning. This is a 1, and then we have the Ace up there, the Ace of Swords. So I feel like this week it can finally click for you. For some of you who have been like in a relationship where things have been a little bit off, it might finally click that, hey, is this person like really who I think they are? And I feel like somebody is taking back their power and saying like, you can't do that to me. Perhaps it doesn't necessarily involve ending a relationship, but maybe it's a marriage where somebody is the one giving, and the other person is not really doing much. And this is causing a lot of heartache for the other partner. But I feel like there is some type of clarity, and somebody knows what they need to do, and they're really kind of examining a relationship this week. Okay, so I did want to talk about singles as well. I know I kind of focused more on couples. It's a similar, same cards. The Ace of Swords, I feel like for some of you, you may really kind of be examining like either your choice of partners, like why do I pick certain people? Like, why am I attracted to certain people? I feel like, it's the same card that you're feeling, but you're finally you're feeling unhappy. You've been unhappy, I feel like, coming into the week. You're determined to get to the root of the problem. Like, why do I have certain patterns in relationships? Why do relationships end in a certain way? I feel like you're being like very mental when it comes to your relationships, and you really want to get to the root of the problem. And I feel like you have some type of clarity as far as like why you meet the people that you meet. And I feel like you're examining yourself with that Page of Pentacles up there. You're examining now that you have, you have an open mind, and you're not kind of saying, like, I don't want to hear things like, I'm attracting certain people. Some people don't like to hear that. They want to feel that they just, they met the wrong person. But really, like attracts like. So I feel like for some of you, you have some type of clarity as far as like who you are attracting to yourself. You're really kind of studying your love life and yourself in order to attract the right partner. And that is there. The Three of Cups, which represents kindred spirits and joy and marriage and laughter. And that is your goal. But then, moving on here, the Two of Swords, it's telling me this is difficult for you. For some of you, you're really going to have to be very persistent. This is tough because for some of you, I feel like for some of you, you need to kind of like I don't know, I feel like you need to, it's difficult to like cut like a pattern that you have when it comes to dating or the people that you look for. Because the Two of Swords, it is kind of a very just difficult card. If it doesn't involve a decision, it's just a very like difficult situation. And for some of you, it may be that, you know, the Two of Swords, it represents not wanting to get too emotionally involved in a situation. And perhaps that is a problem that you kind of like, you may tend to focus more on, you know, what kind of superficial things. I mean, I hate to say that, but that's the feeling that I'm getting. Instead of really kind of feeling like attracting people that you feel drawn to, people who are kindred spirits that you feel a connection to, not just someone that you can, you know, crack open a beer with and ha ha ha, have a good time. Like, you don't want that on a soul level anymore. You're looking for something stable. You're looking for stability. And, you know, for you, I definitely get that the Knight of Pentacles represents like new people. They're saying it's time for new people here. It's time for those people who are, you know, who are potential life partners. But again, you are creating your own reality. And moving on to this row here, I feel, you know, it's the same message that I gave for couples. The Justice card is a major arcana, and it's down here with another major arcana that, you know, things are kind of like out of balance in your life. And you do, I'm just noticing right now that there's a lot of Swords cards in this reading. There's a lot of mental energy. There's a lot of mental energy. So I feel like for a lot of you, you're not really in touch with your emotions. And I feel like this is kind of like leading to like unhappiness, or it's leading you to the wrong partners. But I feel like some of you are really kind of setting things straight this week. And I do feel like some of you are here. You're putting an end to your pain. You're putting an end to relationships that go nowhere. I feel like for some of you, maybe healing things from the past. You're really kind of studying here. I'm getting you're really studying like what is making you unhappy, and you're putting an end to it. And just like I told couples, you are finally realizing that you're creating your own reality. And I feel like you're going to be examining the people that you meet a lot more carefully and really seeing if they really fit into your life. And I feel like basically you're just taking back your power. Okay, Aquarius, that's what I have for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.